Hi, and welcome to this practical guide to the AI regulation of the European Union. Like GDPR did a while ago, the AI regulation came here to stay as an important part of our business. In this video, we will look at three key aspects. What is the AI regulation and what's the timeline? What are the three steps of a preliminary self-assessment that you should carry out? And how do you need to act based on the results of this assessment and whom to notify? First of all, the AI regulation is a risk-based approach to regulate the application of AI systems in the EU. It is important that the regulation does not focus on regulating the AI systems themselves, but on regulating the application of these systems. With this regulation, the EU Commission confirms that AI is generally very important and brings many advantages. On the other hand, some of these applications of AI bring significant risks that have to be addressed. The AI regulation prohibits only a small subset of applications like general biometric identification in publicly accessible spaces. The rest of the AI applications are allowed following the rule: the higher the risk, the more measures you will require to take. Now to the timeline. The draft was published in April 2021. After that, the EU Parliament and the EU Commission will discuss and adjust the text of the regulation in collaboration with Member States and other stakeholders. It is expected that the final version will go into force in the second half of 2022. After that, an official 2 years transition period will start for companies to adjust their practices and become fully compliant with the regulation. Despite a very friendly timeline, you need to act right now. Why? On one hand, you need to address early concerns of your customers and stakeholders. On the other hand, you need to be informed about the regulation to implement AI systems in a way that will be compliant in 2-3 years. There are three main types of concerns that may arise among your customers and stakeholders. First one, panic by negligence. People will see or hear the title AI regulation. They will have not enough time or not enough information to dig deeper and will temporarily block projects, block buying services, put strategic initiatives on hold until details are clarified. They will wait for internal stakeholders to act and provide more infos. You will need to inform proactively to avoid such delays. Second one, panic by misinformation. The regulation is roughly 100 pages. Many people will read articles and specialist opinions instead of the source text of the regulation. These articles may be not applicable to the business, partially wrong or not detailed enough, and will result into forming a wrong opinion. You will need to inform such stakeholders proactively to provide your tailored assessment. And the third one, panic by misinterpretation. The text of the regulation is quite generic, and it is intentionally done like that because it should cover a variety of AI applications that will emerge in the next years. Usually, opinions of the EU Commission as well as guidelines from the field experts and authorities will help forming a detailed opinion. If people are not used to reading such texts, or they might be misinterpreting them, or just they didn't find the right document, they will form a wrong opinion. Again, here, you should proactively inform them with a tailored assessment from your side. Before informing anyone, you need to do a preliminary self-assessment. That consists of 3 steps. First one, does the AI regulation apply to you? The AI regulation applies if the AI application is used to process the data of people in the EU. In short, this includes both the EU citizens and foreigners who live and work in the EU. It doesn't matter if the AI system was developed in the EU or outside of it. The key aspect is that it is applied in the EU. The AI regulation applies to the application of AI systems, so we need a definition. For this purpose, there is an Annex 1 of the regulation. Please read this annex under the link which I provide under this video to see if your systems fall under this definition. I intentionally do not quote the text here and point you to the original source of the regulation instead. Step number 2. Which level of risk would your application be most likely classified with? The EU Commission estimates that the majority of the AI applications will fall into the lower two categories. Then there will be a handful of applications that will be prohibited, and in the middle there will be some systems that are classified as high risk. The main focus of the regulation is on such high-risk applications. Please read a quote from the regulation with regard to prohibited applications, as well as Annex 3 of the regulation that is linked under this video as well, to understand if your application would be classified as high risk. So, if you think that it's not a high risk, then congratulations. You will most likely need to do some type of self-assessment, document your AI practices, but you will be in the same bucket as the majority of our other companies. Step number 3. Which measures to take depending on the level of risk which you have estimated? It is actually too early to say what exactly will be required for limited and minimal risk applications. More guidance on that will be provided in the course of the next months. But at this stage, I encourage you to read through the Annex 4. It contains the list of measures that will be required for high-risk applications. It will give you a good feeling of what to expect for limited and low-risk applications as well. And it is very healthy to take some actions already now. Ensure that your training and test datasets do not result into models with unwanted bias. Ensure that the training and test datasets are of a sufficient quality. Document how your AI models may affect individuals and how these risks are mitigated. So, having done these 3 steps of the assessment, we come to the 3rd step of the overall process. Inform your stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders? There are internal teams, your management, the data science team, AI team, sales team. They should know what is the position of your company regarding the upcoming AI regulation and what are the steps to take. Second group of stakeholders, prospects and customers. If you sense that they are or might be concerned, you should proactively inform them, or at least prepare a document or a statement which your sales team can use to address their concerns. What to communicate to your stakeholders? Give them a 2-minute introduction what the AI regulation is. Inform them about the 4 levels of risk which AI regulation defines and which risk do you anticipate for your AI applications. Inform which measures you are already implementing and planning to introduce. So, to recap, we had a look at what AI regulation is and what is the timeline. We also had a look at 3 types of concerns that may arise. Then we went through a 3-step self-assessment. All parts of the regulation, which I recommend you to read, you will find on one single page under AI-regulation-info.eu, which is linked under this video. And as a last step, we discussed whom to inform and which information to provide. Please leave your questions and suggestions below this video. It will help me to record the next video with more details on the regulation or maybe on other topics. Stay healthy. Peace.